What's going on, you guys? Today I'm checking out a really cool new knife, the Civivi Elementum button lock numero dos. This comes out on January 10th, and yes, it's got a flipper tab. And man, this thing is freaking sweet. But before we get too far into it, shout out to the good folks over at Civivi for sending this one into the channel. And I've got some affiliate links and coupons down in the comments section. Those do help support the channel, and more than anything, lets these guys know that it's worth it to send me some knives. It's not all that often as a smaller channel, as a newer channel, that I get knives sent in. So thank you to these guys. So what's really interesting is when Civivi originally did the Elementum button lock, they made it larger than the original Elementum. And they also made it so that the button was the only means of deployment, which is pretty strange and unique. Also really freaking fun. Like, this thing is just a blast to sit there and flick back and forth. But it's strange, you know, normally you'd have a flipper tab or thumb studs, or maybe like a spring or an automatic associated with that button. But man, I still do love the original button lock Elementum. The larger handle's nice for those of you with fat fingers and just having a little bit more blade to work with. And it's just different, it's fun, it's unique, it's weird. And as I've always said, variety is the spice of knife. Trademark, going on a sticker. But with the button lock numero dos, they really did give everybody the knife that they were asking for, right? And I'm going to skip right to the chase. I'm just telling you, this is definitely one that's worth buying. This thing is freaking sweet. You get all of the good things about the original Elementum. Great compact size for EDC. It is the same size as the original Elementum. This is not my knife, by the way. This is my 12-year-old daughter's knife. I have no idea why it's on my table. I swear it's not mine. But you have a nice size and weight for daily carry. You also get the nice slicey hollow grind, very thin behind the edge. Pretty simple blade shape, simple handle shape. It's a simple knife, but it's a good knife. Good, simple, ergonomic, and now even more fidget friendly, which is a thing these days. Whether you agree with it or not, fidget friendly is a thing, and this definitely passes for sure. The blade steel on this one is Nitro V. And let me know in the comments if you've been carrying one of Civivi's knives in Nitro V. How's it been holding up for you? How easy is it to maintain? How easy is it to sharpen? How long does it last before you need to sharpen? How do you think it compares to like the Sambic 14C or the D2 versions of the Elementum? The other thing I really love about this thing is the action. The detent, or what function as the detent with this button lock, is just tuned in perfect, exactly where I would want it. I'm going to slowly give more and more pressure on the flipper tab until it breaks, and you see it fully deploys. I don't think I could fail this even if I tried. Like, I'm trying to do this as lightly as possible, and you still get full deployment of the blade. And then especially like if you're giving it full force, you're not going to have any problems at all. The drop is also really nice. It's essentially fall shutty, drop shutty, whatever you want to call it, running on caged ceramic ball bearings. The centering is good, right down the middle, and even cranking pretty hard on there. No noticeable blade play in any direction. As far as the button itself, you can see it does stick out proud a little bit from the handle, but not as much as some others. You can see on the original it stuck out quite a bit further. And what's nice about it, at least in my opinion, is that even if you push the button to where it is flush with the handle, that's not enough to disengage that lock. You actually have to push it into that little divot area. And so it makes it a lot less likely that you're going to accidentally either open the blade or close the blade by having to consciously push that button. Are these ones a little bit more fun for fidgeting, where they stick out further and they don't require as much of a depression to actuate? Yes, but for daily carry, I think this is the way to go for sure. And it's still plenty fidgetable, by the way. Okay, the flipper tab, is that different or the same as the original? The flipper tab itself looks pretty much identical to the other Elementums. There is some jimping on the tab itself. The jimping does a good job, as well as the shape of that flipper of catching your finger and deploying the blade. I've mostly been doing light switch, but you also can push button, which is where you just push straight down rather than pulling back. Either way works pretty effectively, although I mainly just light switch. One of the other differences is that with the original button lock, for some reason they made it lefty friendly. There's no cutout here, which as a righty, honestly, like I really prefer this aesthetic. And you've got the typical deep carry clip with recessed hardware. Let me give you just a few more size comparisons. This is the fixed blade Elementum. They progressively got bigger. You got the original size, the button lock Elementum size, and then the fixed blade size. And then here it is compared to the Wii Banter. A little bit longer. Full-size Benchmade bug out. A little bit shorter than the full-size bug out. The OKC Rat 2, pretty comparable in length. And again, my daughter's, not mine, original Elementum. It's actually mine. And up against some other popular button locks, the CJRB Pyrite, the Vosteed Raccoon, the Vosteed Valkyrie, and the Kaiser Cormorant. I think that's all the button locks that I have. I think the Pyrite is just a little bit longer, and it's a thumb stud button lock versus a flipper. And compared to the Vosteed Raccoon, it's also a little bit smaller. The Raccoon is also a thumb stud button lock, and compared to the Valkyrie, also shorter. The Valkyrie has thumb studs and a flipper. I think one thing that the Elementum button lock number 2 has going for it compared to some of these other button locks is the size. It's a little bit smaller than these other ones. So if you're somebody who prefers a smaller knife, like this is going to be the go-to one. There's still room enough for 4 fingers for me, but this is more of like a small to medium knife, where those other ones are like pretty much medium. You know what I mean? The blade length is just shy of 3 inches. The handle is just over 4 inches. Overall, about 7. And then also it's coming from a very reputable and experienced manufacturer and running on the very popular Elementum platform. I think this is going to be hugely, hugely successful. And let's check out the weight. 3.1 ounces, 90 grams. So a fairly lightweight knife, and like the original Elementum, there is some milling of those stainless steel liners to make it a little bit lighter. And the stock thickness, I imagine, is somewhere close to 3 millimeters. Yeah. Let's do a hardware check while we're at it. I'm assuming the pocket clip screws are probably T6, which they are. And the pivot screw, T8. Body screws, also T8. If you're unfamiliar with the Elementum, it also has a lanyard hole cut out right there. Let's take a look at some of the different variations we've got here. Looks like this one I've got with the black G10 scales, a black stonewashed Nitro V blade with a hollow grind, drop point style blade. And then there's also this one in the middle there with a satin finish on the blade, and natural or jade G10. And last but not least, OD green G10, also with a black stonewashed blade. Hopefully, and I'm assuming there'll be more variations down the road. And the price, it looks like, is going to be around $65, $75, which honestly, $65 I think is more than fair. Honestly, they could probably charge whatever the hell they wanted, but for Nitro V steel, button lock, and the good construction, fit and finish, quality materials that we come to expect from Civivi, I think it's perfectly fair for a $65 knife. In the box, it comes with the normal Civivi pouch with all the goodies. You've got a couple Civivi stickers, warranty info, and a cleaning cloth, and a pretty nice little pouch. One other advantage I think that this button lock version has over the original Elementum is just, it's pretty minor. With the liner lock version, you're going to obviously have a liner lock, and it's important. You want good access to that to disengage the lock, but at the same time, you know, you got some extra material right there. And so having a button lock that doesn't require a cutout, that doesn't require a jimped lock bar to disengage, just eliminates one more potential hotspot. You do have an area here where you can choke up with some jimping along the spine. Gives you a little bit more room, and that position is actually very, very comfortable. Perfectly adequate for a factory edge, and then again, you've got a nice hollow grind here. My final thoughts on this one, guys, is yeah, it's a pretty freaking sweet knife. I think Civivi did a freaking awesome job with this one. It's really the knife that everybody was asking for, and I think they did a pretty good job executing it. No lock stick, by the way. For daily carry, I don't know what more you could ask for. You got a good size and weight, slicey hollow grind. I would say a fair price, not a great price, but a fair price at $65. Good deployment, comfortable handle, plus the fidget factor. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. That's it for me, guys. Thanks for watching.